have paradigms and roadblocks that prevent us from excelling, and they can be real or imagined. Welcome to Beyond Bricks, a podcast that will give you the ability to break through those walls. Here's Dr. Nathan Unruh.
Hello, everyone. We have a treat today. I'm super excited to get the opportunity to interview and have a conversation with Dr. Vance Thompson. Vance, I'm going to kick this conversation off because I don't even know if you realize this, but there was a time many, many years ago, I saw you at a restaurant and we started to engage in a conversation. And I asked you, what's your favorite book? At that time, you told me The Experience Economy, and I went, no way. I go, that's my favorite book. And you took it a whole nother level because you went and hired those guys to help you create what you've created today in the Vance Thompson vision. So I want to kick that off. I don't know if I've ever told you that, but at that time I said, man, I really like this guy. He's not just a doctor, he's a doctor who really wants to go deeper into the human connection and understood things at such a deeper level. So you've always inspired me. So let's kick it off here. I would just want to tell our listeners, where'd you grow up?
Well, I grew up in South Dakota. I spent half my childhood in Lake Andes, South Dakota. My dad was a small-town family doctor on call every night. The doctor in Gregory was on call every night. And they decided to join forces. So we moved to Gregory when I was in high school. And so I kind of called Charles Mix and Gregory County home. I graduated from Gregory and went on to the University of South Dakota. I got a degree in chemistry, went to medical school there, thinking I was going to be a small-town family doctor. Spent time with an eye surgeon in Yankton, and I heard the angels sing. I literally felt inspired, and so it was a nervous time telling my dad and grandpa that I was going to go into ophthalmology, and that's an interesting story in and of itself. And then went on to the University of Missouri-Columbia and studied ophthalmology. Then I did a fellowship in advanced cataract and refractive surgery in Kansas City that changed my whole journey because I got involved in the research and development of laser vision correction. And my dad, who had grown up in Watertown, my mom had grown up in Sioux Falls, we would come to Sioux Falls every month as a kid and loved my relatives here. And I always had a dream of living here. And I remember telling my mom in the 8th grade, you'll know I've made it when I live in Sioux Falls, have my own Suburban and my own drum set. And I was lobbying for a drum set. I didn't get it, but now I have all three and a great family, and so I guess I've made it.
I love it. Okay, so I got to go back to something you said. You heard the angels sing. So there was something about that experience, that doctor you were around. Just pull that apart for me a little bit.
Well, in Yankton, Dr. Wilcoxon and Dr. King were great eye surgeons, and that was my first time seeing eye surgery. And the fact that they had a clinic that was a lot like a family doctor, interacting with patients, and then going into the operating room and doing microsurgery. I was always fascinated by little things. And then this idea of vision, helping to restore someone's vision, the whole thing hit me a lot harder than I predicted going into that day. And I knew after that I wanted to try my hardest to be an eye surgeon. And as a matter of fact, I remember consciously thinking it's a competitive field. What if I don't get in? I'm worried about my future joy. But I was that struck.
Well, I think the reason I wanted you to pull that apart is I hear that so many times we hear in leadership or we're talking to our kids and people say, I haven't found my why. Well, sometimes you just gotta take some action and start having some activity. And that's what you did.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it found you.
Right.
And then you
Right.
said, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
And then you just kept going.
Yep.
So, all right, so everything's now fast forward to today. You've created an amazing business that has a huge footprint now in multiple different states, 13 different surgeons, 450 team members. Probably nothing what you thought was going to become when you started there in Yankton on that day.
Right.
So how'd you get to this point? What was obviously you just kept resonating to a new level. Keeps driving you?
Well, I love taking care of people. I love, even if I think about some of my jobs, I was an aide in a nursing home. I was an aide in a hospital. I was a waiter and a bartender in Gregory. It just seems like everything I've ever done has been waiting on people. And I really enjoy that. If you come to my home, you won't see the bottom of your water glass. I love taking care of
Or wine glass.
people. I love taking care of people and making them feel special. So the practice of medicine and serving others that way was really in a profound way to use my, desire to serve. And so I started with a little practice that I think the thing that I've always been good at is just really answering another person's needs when I have maybe something to offer them. For instance, in the world of ophthalmology, when I get into that exam room and I'm analyzing the diagnostics and I'm getting to know their personality and trying to figure out how best to relieve their anxiety, to demystify their situation, to bring them inner peace and help them chart a course to a more beautiful future. And sometimes it's tough. Sometimes you can't help people. But, that has been something that I've really enjoyed, and I enjoy doing it with my team. And so I never imagined we would be big. There wasn't a strategy to be big. It was just organic growth of, working with other like-minded people. I've always felt like I'm comfortable leading and I'm comfortable following. I love the idea of just being our best. And so how one thing led to another and we got big, I have to credit my partners and my team a lot because I feel honored to be one of them.
I love it. Reminds me of a story, Vance. Andy Truitt with Chick-fil-A. There was a point in time in Chick-fil-A's history where there was a company competing against them called Boston Chicken. Remember Boston Chicken? And they had this very aggressive growth plan. And it was threatening Chick-fil-A and all the executives. And the story goes that they were sitting around this boardroom and they were all arguing how we got to get bigger, we got to get bigger, we got to get bigger. And Andy Truitt, a very calm man, finally put his fist on the table and says, guys, I am so tired of hearing about getting bigger. What we need to concentrate on is getting better. And if we get better, we'll have no choice but to get bigger.
Right.
It was about taking care of people.
Right.
It's exactly what you're describing. You fall in love with being empathetic. And you operated on me, and it was one of the greatest experiences because when I talk about the inner peace, because I did have the anxiety. I was like, these are my eyes.
Yeah.
But it was such an amazing experience, such an amazing outcome. And I hear about this idea that you've really instilled the idea of the science of nice.
Yeah.
Talk about the science of nice, because it goes a long way today and we don't always see it, but you've done an amazing job of that.
Well, I'm a big believer in kindness and treating people right. And as a result, I've enjoyed being treated kindly by a lot of people. But one of the frustrating times, I guess, of my journey was kind of the first third of my career. Let's say this is the 90s, and I'm starting my practice in Sioux Falls. I am a good person working with good people, but hearing more employee complaints and patient complaints than I think nice people should be having. Mm-hmm. And I remember telling my brother-in-law, who was working at Avera Hospital then, his name's David Kapaska, mm-hmm. just a wonderful man who, great natural leader. And he said, you know, Vance, in medicine, we're not taught the business of what we do. We kind of go into practice needing to maybe study some of those things that we didn't get taught in our journey. And we send our doctors to this, International Council for Quality Care in Florida. And you should go do it. So I went and did it. And to make a long story, less long, what I learned there was, wow, there's books, there's things that I can study, kind of like I studied in chemistry and then medicine and then eye surgery, that I could actually study how to create a patient experience. And I could study how to develop a team culture and to put some structure and work into it. And so being someone from the sciences and it also being a way to treat people nice, that's when I coined the phrase, the science of nice. But it's something that has led to a patient experience that I'm really excited to be a part of, because you have in your business, you have somehow a person that's contacted you, whether it's a phone call or a web connection, where it now starts a sequence of events where they show up and they're greeted and they go through your system and whatever your business is. Ours happens to be eye surgery. But those handoffs, if those handoffs are too many, or they're not being explained, or there's a misinterpretation of a bill or something like that, it can lead to a frustrated person or customer or patient when you never intended for that to happen. And so the only way to really make for a better experience then is to say, okay, I'm going to close my business on this particular Friday. I'm going to pay my whole team and we're going to do a retreat, and I'm going to listen to the team and what they think the issues are, because your best experts are your team, the people that are closest to the situation. And yes, we hired consultants, and yes, for 20 years I had a great leader by the name of Matt Jensen who helped facilitate that patient experience. And yes, we hired consultants like Jim Gilmore, the author of The Experience Economy, and John DeJulius, the author of Secret Service. And we would buy our team the books, and we would take the time and put the effort into it, a lot like going to the local college to get a credit hour course in whatever. And so handling it in a scientific way not only helped our patient experience, but I started realizing that this younger generation that really wants to be a part of a job that brings them purpose. Yes, we need to pay them fairly, but wow, they're not looking at that first. They're looking at the purpose of the organization. You put them into a retreat on how to improve the business, and that you're looking for advice and that their opinion matters, and your employee satisfaction goes way up. So what ended up evolving was I started realizing that, wow, everybody's working so hard in this world to have a great customer or patient experience, but they're maybe skipping a step, and that is the team experience. And you have to have a great team experience to create a great patient experience. As a matter of fact, I've developed a saying, in this journey that the team that loves and cares for each other will create an environment where the patient feels loved and cared for.
I love that. So talk about that, because I think you're right. We look at the customer experience or the patient experience first without thinking about the team experience. So what are some key elements? And talk about culture, talk about values of how you instill that, because it sounds like the science, a very systematic approach of being intentional of how to create a great team experience, which then extends to the customer experience or patient experience. Talk about some of those cultural pieces that you guys are so intentional about.
Well, I think it's simpler than a lot of businesses think it is, and it's harder to execute than a lot of businesses think it. And I like to use family as an analogy for work family. So that's why I like to talk about work brothers and work sisters. And what you do with the work family, for instance, if someone had a baby, they're out, and I am behind in clinic, and they show up with their new baby. They don't see me. I could go in and do what I'm behind at right now, but I have a family member who just stopped by with their baby. And I drop everything and I go and I enjoy that moment. Or let's say they're getting married and I'm invited. I show up to that wedding, or there's a good reason that I give them, just like I would a cousin who's getting married, a family member. You also, besides showing up for what's important or caring about their personal life when they need to be gone for their family reason, their grandpa died, they loved their grandpa, and you work hard on things that are important to them personally, and then they start to feel like you really do care for them professionally. I think the other thing is fun. We consider fun one of the glues of team building. I love, dumb dad jokes. This week it's been, what do you call it when a hen quits laying eggs? And henopause. Okay, so I'm working on my patients, or I'm doing surgery. I don't mind throwing myself under the bus and saying dumb dad jokes. Why did Tigger have his head in the toilet? He was looking for poo. And so when you do these things and your team is like, wow, he's goofier than I thought he was. But that's what dads are to a family. Mm-hmm. And if you want to be a dad to your work family, you care about humor. You'll take the time. You don't really do that with people you don't care about, But we also schedule fun. We happen to call it the 12 months of Christmas, but every month we are doing something with our team. Sometimes it's just a team. Sometimes it's a team and their loved one. Sometimes it's the team, their loved one, and their children. But every month we're doing something together, because what do families do together? They have fun. And of course, we're also doing the retreats and those types of things that the team knows, wow, they really do care about me, because half this retreat, maybe even more, was dedicated to me and the team. And the other half to how do we have a better customer experience? And so you have to be intentional about those types of things. And if you enjoy what you do, it comes natural. Mm-hmm. It's not forced. Mm-hmm. And I think, since I'm a doctor in the practice of medicine, I think sometimes people hide behind the patient or the customer comes first as a license to treat the team less than. And it's just not right. You want to treat your team like gold. As a matter of fact, I say the team or the patient comes second. And when you're talking to a group of doctors, the first thing you hear is a gasp, mm-hmm. Okay? And I say, but wait, what I'm talking about, the team that loves and cares for each other will create an environment where the patient feels loved and cared for. I'm talking about culturally. If your team feels like they come first, they will create that environment where your customer walks in and they say, I don't know exactly what's going on here, but I love how they treat each other. I love how they treat me. I trust them to do the business I'm looking for, in my case, my eye surgery. And I'm going to tell my friends. And so it becomes the foundation of your business when you create a culture so powerful that patients come in and say, I don't know if I've ever been treated this well in a business.
And then why they're coming for their eyes is almost secondary.
Right.
I mean, yes, they expect, the table stakes is they expect to see better.
Yes.
But the way you love on them,
Yes.
and everybody loves on them, not just Vance.
Right.
Yeah, as a collective team. So talk to me, frustrations of how do you develop that? Because I know, like, as you talk like that, that's the environment I think we all want. But you get caught in that hamster wheel of life and the grind of doing what we have to do. How do we just really intentionally make sure that we're always keeping the team front and center?
Well, again, having a structure behind it, for instance, our team gets together for a morning huddle every day. When we pass each other in the hallway, there's smile and eye contact. A lot of people don't realize their own personal power, that eye contact and that smile is one of the most beautiful drugs to get someone to the next level in their day. But yet at the same time, we're dealing with stressful things, whether they're away from the business or in the business. And so every now and then, my kindness isn't shining. I have a temperament too. I am maybe feeling some anxiety about a patient's healing or something that I can't control, but I'm worried for them. Or there's something going on with a family member, or one of my team's family members, or one of my team is ill, or one of my family members is ill. There's all these stresses in life that can sometimes lead to a reaction that we're not proud of. But at that moment in time, what we do with that reaction really matters. And what do you do with your family? You say, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. You sit down and you talk. Mm-hmm. And that's what you got to do with your work family. And so sometimes it's not easy. But I do consider one of the biggest opportunities to make things better is complaints. Because if you take your complaints serious, and you don't just get through the complaint, but you go back and say, what sequence of events led to that complaint, and what can we hardwire into our business to lessen that complaint? And we like high performance management system, and we talk about it with our team. And we've seen companies that have done very well with the structure of it. This idea of doing a current state analysis of whatever the issue is, and then listing everything that is kind of good and bad about it, and then doing a dream state analysis of if all those problems, were taken care of, what would it look like? And then, creating the work list of what it would take to get from current state to dream state. And then let's say that you end up with 30 things that need to be better. Then you and your team vote. What are the top 3? It's a way of prioritizing, not like we're not going to go after the other 27 later, but we're going to prioritize. And I remember, since we're in the business of not only insurance-based medicine, but patient pay, where they also invest in their health care. Above and beyond their copay and insurance, a lot of advanced technologies take an investment from the patient. Sometimes that can get confusing. So that financial education was one of the issues we were hearing complaints on. And so we decided that rose to, the top. The other one was communication amongst our team, because families, the power and value of communication. And so in HPMS, those two rose to the top, and we worked hard on them and we made them better. And so those are just some of the ways, and I could keep going on what you do to make your work family, and your team experience continue to evolve. Got to tell you, Nathan, that it's something that if you enjoy it and you value it, it's never over. Mm-hmm. You have to be attracted to the journey of it, because I'll never be satisfied with my team experience and my patient experience until the day I retire.
Mm-hmm. You think that's ever going to happen?
Yeah, eventually it will. I thank the Lord for what I do every day. Mm-hmm. And my team, really, they feed me. I mean, I am honored to be one of them, and I'm honored to take care of people. And I feel at the top of my game surgically. And so I, being, a sub specialist who has, does a lot of eye surgery, I find a lot of joy restoring vision. But someday, I know that someday I'll be put out to pasture, and I'll feel a great sense of peace and joy about the past.
Yeah. Well, I want to pull apart a couple things you said, because I don't want people to miss them as they're listening. It's a journey. We never arrive when you're looking at creating a great team experience and great patient experience. And, the statistics show that something like 40% of our lives is spent at work. That's 155,000 hours in a lifetime. So I think it is a good investment for us to invest in what happens in those four walls, and then even beyond those four walls of that work family. So I love how intentional you are with it. And as you listen to Vance today, you hear him. He's top in the world at what he does. You're an artist when it comes to people from all around the world come and watch what you do. But what I love is to hear is what your intention is for your team and for the overall experience. It inspires me to hear that. So as you look in the next 10 years, this is a big question. Where do you think healthcare is going from a patient experience standpoint?
Well, I think the most successful practices of the world will realize that the practice of medicine is probably one of the most intimate things that a person can allow someone into their life to that depth. Mm-hmm. And to walk in for an appointment and have someone at the front desk not even look at you, just look at their computer, type in your data, be talking to you, no smile, no eye contact. I think that transactional side of medicine, since there is a lot of need out there, will survive. But if you want to thrive, I think the missing link between, a good practice or a good business and an excellent one, and one that is delivering the best of care, receiving the most joy, the missing link is the people part. The great team culture, working together on what can we do to ensure each other's joy as we go into battle together with arms locked on how to bring joy to our patients. That's where I think you'll see the greatest success in the practice of medicine, is people really respecting the people part. Now, I personally think that, third-party pay, especially when it comes to government-based insurance, it just can't keep up with the growing patient population. And so people investing in their own health care, I think, is what's going to grow and grow over the next decade. And so I'd like to talk about medicine as there's a need, but there's certain things that are a want. You don't have to do it, but they make you feel better physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And so you're willing to invest in it. But when someone is pulling out their hard-earned dollars, in a sense, the businesses in medicine that realize they're competing with that trip to Disney or that other acquisition, and they need to bring their A game to their, experience, like a Ritz-Carlton. The answer is yes. Now, what's the question?
Yeah, right.
And,
Exactly.
to have that sort of experience, I think you're going to see more of medicine start to understand that, and that'll be good for medicine.
Well, what I hear there too is like, fall in love with making things better, making people better.
Right.
The business doesn't grow, the people grow. So if we
Right.
can fall in love in continuous improvement, investing in our people, really being competitive around how can we treat people better.
Right.
And I believe that that's what people will want to work for, an organization like that.
Right.
No matter what we're selling, no matter what the commodity is.
Right.
Right? Whether it's in medicine or something else, people want to work somewhere where they can be empowered to be nice.
Yeah.
To how can we just like surprise people beyond belief? I think that would, when they're sitting around with their friends and their family, that makes people proud to be able
Right.
to work for an organization like that.
Right.
So it behooves us to try to create that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the beginning of our conversation. You told your mom, you arrived. When you lived in Sioux Falls, you had a drum set and you have a Suburban. And you got all three now, so you've truly arrived. So what does Vance do for fun?
Well, I have, my wife, Gianna, and we have 3 children, Blake, Joel, and Lauren. And we have Blake, married to Kayla, and Joel married to Tess. And so we have 5 kids.
Yeah.
And we have 3 grandkids and another grandkid on the way. And our best friends are our kids. And so we love being together with them. We love cooking and traveling and talking and being there for each other's big events. I grew up in a little town in South Dakota, and my dad was an outdoorsman. And he wasn't a big talker. But when you're in a goose pit or a fishing boat for 6 hours, you talk. And it's how I got to know him. And I fell in love with the outdoors. And so I love the plains of South Dakota. My heart is on the plains. When I finished my training and had been involved in some, in the beginning of laser vision correction, teaching it all around the world, having job offers that, were for a lot more and probably more notoriety to be away from here. But I love South Dakota. I love this region. I love the plains of the upper Midwest. And so for me, that's my happy spot.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So I'm going to finish with this. You've been around a lot of great leaders. You are a great leader. In all your years of experience, what are 3 attributes that you see in great leaders?
Well, I think one is trust. The other is excellence. That if you are going to be leading someone at what you do, be very good at what you do, be excellent, and promote an atmosphere of excellence. And I think the other one is humility. I think it's one of the reasons that I'm attracted to your leadership. And I know how you touch this world, Nathan. But I'm attracted to excellence that has humility woven right through it. And I can think of other attributes, I will say, and I feel like I'd be remiss to not say it, but I'm not afraid to use the word love. And I think it's the most, powerful thing, besides God himself, is the love for a fellow human. I will look at the people I work with, and even my partners and my teammates, and obviously that love is different than the love you have for your God and your spouse and your children. But we know there's different types of love. But I can't look at them and say, I like working with you. Mm-hmm. I love working with you, and I love you. Mm-hmm. And I think that a world where people are willing to admit they love being loved, mm-hmm. and they love loving, and it's okay to talk about it. Mm-hmm. The power of love and the power of people.
I love that. And I agree with you so much. It's funny, I just over the weekend had a conversation about this very subject of love. And we pointed to the scripture, 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7. This person says, Nathan, put your name in there. Wow. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it keeps no record of wrongs. Okay, go put your name in there, Nathan. Mm-hmm. And I don't always do that.
Right.
So I think it's a good reminder. And I agree with you. I think if I would follow that scripture alone, what a great attribute of a great leader.
And it's the key.
And you're the first one's ever given me that, said that, love, because that's powerful.
Yep. It's the key to a better world.
I agree. Well, thank you for making time.
Yeah. Thank you,
This is
Nathan.
awesome, and
Thank
keep
you.
doing what you do.
Thank you.
You inspire us all.
Honored
Thank
to
you
be
so
here.
much.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
We all have paradigms and roadblocks that prevent us from excelling, and they can be real or imagined. Welcome to Beyond Bricks, a podcast that will give you the ability to break through those walls. Here's Dr. Nathan Unruh.